Hi everyone, I'm Mary with Mary Greeley News. Thank you for joining me. Along I-15 there in Pocatello, Idaho, they're warning drivers to watch out for herds of elk moving across the interstate. Here it says a herd of about 100 elk crossed Interstate 15, causing multiple collisions. What's unusual about this is that deer and elk do not normally migrate until spring, which is not until March 20th here in the United States. And it's been very cold here. Currently, it's only 20 degrees there at Yellowstone. Tonight's low is going to be about 5 degrees. They don't migrate until the other areas higher up in the mountains have things for them to feed on. What direction are they moving? Well, I don't know, but I thought this was quite unusual. Here's another odd story that was posted yesterday, February 28th. Bison begin migrating out of Yellowstone National Park. Morgan Jacobson, a spokesman for Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks, told the Bozeman Daily Chronicle that on Thursday, that wildlife managers had seen some bison making their way out of the park over the last week. 2 bison, a bull, and a cow were recently taken by tribal hunters. In the last week, park officials have observed a herd of approximately 250 animals gathering around the Roosevelt Arch on the boundary of the park near Gardner, Jacobson said, and a handful of animals were seen outside of the park. Approximately 350 to 370 bison were between Mammoth Hot Springs and the northern boundary of Yellowstone, and around 70 bison were seen outside of the park on Tuesday. Yellowstone bison migrate to lower elevations outside of the park to find food each winter. Well, I'm sorry, but winter's almost over. It's warming up. So they're going even lower to lower elevations now, all of a sudden, when it's been so cold and a lot of snow for so long. They're just now leaving. It just doesn't add up. Early this morning, along the Sawtooth Fault Zone, there was a magnitude 3.5 earthquake. And using Google Earth, I'll show you the location of that earthquake, not far from where these elk are migrating from. This is part of the Intermountain Seismic Zone. Here's another image of that Intermountain Seismic Zone, the belt, which is also part of the North American plate, slowly moving southwest. 2 days ago, there was a magnitude 3.5 earthquake that USGS upgraded to a magnitude 3.7. And we'll move to its location right there. On March 31st of last year, there was a magnitude 6.5 earthquake. This is the Sawtooth Fault Zone, and it's got them rethinking about a lot of things that's going on here. Originally, they thought it was an inactive fault zone. I drew out in red the fault zone. Here's the 3.5. I'll go back, that they upgraded to a 3.7. I'll go back to today's earthquake, which is on the opposite side of this fault zone. When they had that 6.5 earthquake, an area of Stanley Lake, maybe 2 to 3 football fields, actually dropped down. They had liquefaction. Some of the earth along the shoreline sunk into the lake. Surface cracks opened up. Damage was reported all the way down to Boise, Idaho. Broken gas lines. Mortar that was dislodged and collapsed. Geologists believe that large earthquakes only happen in this area every 20 to 30 years. Well, they're happening more often. They changed the focal mechanism for this 6.5 earthquake to be an extensional strike-slip earthquake to a nearly a pure double couple. So what is that? It is an area of tectonics where 2 plates are actually moving apart, separating. We see this often along with the Ring of Fire and all the volcanic activity. At the southern end of the Sawtooth Fault Zone, what do we have? We have the Snake River Plateau. That is an area where the Yellowstone caldera slowly moved up to its present position in the northeast. Also at the bottom of the Sawtooth Fault Zone, we have two areas of fairly recent volcanic activity. We got Hell's Half-Acre volcanism. That's got rhyolite deposits in it. And then we also have Craters of the Moon. Now, the Native Americans talk about that eruption that was probably, somewhere around 2,000 years ago. Here we have the spectrogram of the most recent 3.5 earthquake. This here is Moose Creek, Idaho. Over here is Norris Junction, and I'll pull this over for you so you can see Yellowstone Lake. Yeah, Yellowstone Lake, I've talked about all the activity that's been showing up over there, and the magma, the dike intrusion that's trying to come up. We got two different locations where the magma comes up to the Yellowstone caldera through the Snake River Plateau. Yep, Sawtooth Mountain Range. And then it comes up on the eastern side from the Gulf of California. USGS is reporting 80 earthquakes between Stanley, Idaho, Sawtooth Fault Zone, and the Hedgen Lake area. 80 earthquakes within the last week. 9 within the last week near the Madison River area and Hedgen Lake. There's Hedgen Lake. And Madison River and the Norris Geyser Basin area. They're reporting a 0.2 and a 0.6. 3.6 kilometers in depth and 2.5 kilometers in depth. So the 3.6 would be about 2.4 miles below sea level. The 2.5, that would be about 1.5, a mile and a half below sea level. So these would all be above the magma chamber. And this would be caused by magma moving into the system, pushing up on the crust of the earth. More recently, when I pulled the files of the spectrogram, this was the most recent earthquake, and this was marked in red. This here is a Norris Geyser Basin, and this would be Yellowstone Lake. This earthquake is not being reported. Let's see what the signature looks like. There you go. It's got a P wave on it. This here is the signature from Yellowstone Lake. This here is the signatures that came in at Norris Junction. And yeah, it doesn't even show up at Moose Creek, Idaho, so I doubt if it came from Stanley, Idaho. The Moose Creek, Idaho has had multiple earthquakes marked in red. Hundreds of them? This is within the last 24 hours. Here's another one marked in red here at Yellowstone Lake. It's not marked in red at Norris Geyser Basin. 8:14 Universal Time. This would be for the 3.5. I'll pull it over here to you. Alright, so we got Norris Geyser Basin here. Yellowstone Lake there. There's another one before that. There it is extracted. It says 8:17 here. And that one I pulled from Yellowstone Lake. We'll pull it here because it was bigger there at Yellowstone Lake. This one too, they're not reporting. And I'll bring this over for you and make it larger. There it is at Norris Geyser Basin. And then we'll pull this other one at Yellowstone Lake. See, these are not being reported. These are small microquakes. Okay, Yellowstone Lake. And we'll pull it from the Norris Geyser Basin. So this did not happen at Stanley. These did not happen at Stanley. These were there, in fact, at the park. Right there inside the park. We got two more here. Now, this is that 3.5 that happened today, so you can get an idea of the time frame. I'll pull it from this one here at Yellowstone Lake first. Let me pull this over for you. And I'll make it larger. Yeah, that's two earthquakes there. Side by side. And I'll pull it here for the Norris Geyser Basin. And I'll make that larger. So what I showed you earlier, I talked about how the magma goes under the ground, comes up on the eastern side of Yellowstone Lake, and then travels across. Here we got Yellowstone Lake. Okay, and we got magma on the move here. Let's look at the spectrogram. The lighter the color, the hotter it is as it comes in. And I want to pull this over to the Moose Creek, Idaho, and show you its activity that was showing during that same time. So it goes under the lake, and then it would show up at the Norris Geyser Basin. And let's pull the spectrogram for that. Alright, 2131, Moose Creek, Idaho, which would be indication what's happening at Sawtooth. Norris Junction, and then I'll pull it over to Yellowstone Lake. Anyways, yeah, my neighbors are making a bunch of noise over there. I'm hoping they're playing video games over there, because there's been a lot of swearing. They have 2 dogs, and maybe they're playing with the dogs, but, oh my goodness. Anyways, that's all I have for you right now. It's rather concerning that we got reports of animals. I don't know which way they're moving, north or south. It wasn't reported in that news article. But it's too early and too cold. And as you can see at the ground, let me pull this down a little bit. Yeah, what are they going to feed on? They're going to eat branches? What are your thoughts? Please put your comments down below. Thank you for watching. Please stay safe. And I will talk to you later. God bless you. Bye.